Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Serving Up Success with a Splash. I'm Angie Snowball. And today we are going to talk about how to leave a bad team without burning bridges and how to join a new team without making the same mistakes. So to do that, I have my co-host with me.
I am Dr. D, and I'm just going to start introducing myself as Dr. D. Angie and Bruce gave me that name, and I just love it so much. I'm going to be Dr. D from now on.
You sound like a rapper. I like it.
Yeah, can you imagine me rapping, Angie? It's not going to work.
It'd be awesome.
Oh, we got to get that on film. But anyways, you all know me, Bruce Cramer, the corporate cockroach. And I get to introduce one of my favorite martinis here on the island. It's called the Key Lime Martini. And as you can tell, I like it a little creamy. Now, you can get the mocktail version. Again, you can get the ingredients, all of that out onto our our YouTube page. We have all that information out there. This is a mocktail today. I like to drink as much as anybody, but it's a little early. So,
Cheers.
of course, it didn't stop. It didn't stop Angie.
It did. It's 10. I'm definitely mocktailing today. Oh my gosh. All right. So one of our previous episodes, we talked about, and kind of several of them, we talked about being in a bad culture, being not in the right spot, career changes. And we dusted on more on how to decide when it's time to leave or if it's time to change and how to make those changes. Well, we had someone reach out to us and say, okay, that was awesome. I've now decided I am in a toxic environment. You forgot to tell me, how do I leave? So that's why we're focusing today on very specifically, tangibly. This is when, because not every situation you have to leave, but this is when you've decided it's time to go. How do you do that professionally without burning bridges? And maybe most importantly, how do you make sure you don't get yourself back in the same situation? Okay, so we're going to start with Dr. D telling us a little bit more about how to exit a bad team the right way.
So I'm so comfortable talking about this rather than rapping. So yeah, let me.
It's so much cooler if he rapped it at the same time.
It would be cool. It would be cool and maybe funny for you guys. But it would be career threatening for me. So I'll just do it my normal way. I won't rap. Okay. Look, Angie, this is a great topic, and I'm so glad that people are reaching out to us and asking us questions. Most reputational damage doesn't happen while you're in the team. It happens on the way out. Potentially, it happens on the way out. Some key things to remember before I fire questions at you two. First thing is, emotional regulation is important, but it doesn't mean that you have to suppress yourself emotionally. Regulation important, but it doesn't mean it needs to go to emotional suppression.
So for people like me, tell me what that difference is.
So emotional regulation is reacting in a professional, signaling professionalism, calmness, integrity, high esteem, high self-esteem, whereas emotional suppression would be the opposite of an emotional outburst, where an outburst would be signaling the opposite of these things. It would be signaling unprofessional, a lack of professionalism. It would be signaling low self-esteem. And so what we do as humans, all of us do it. There are no people doing it. All of us do this. What we do is we suppress these things. And because we're
get passive aggressive.
We get passive aggressive. Yeah.
I'm good at that.
Because we're too scared of the outburst.
Okay.
And so what a great question, Angie, to just help me along to explain all that. Fantastic. So, but I have questions for you two, and in no particular order. What are the biggest mistakes people make when they're resigning in terms of this context, exiting a bad team? Either of you go for that.
Oh man. I'll take the first shot.
Yeah,
I
go
have
for it.
so many examples. But I'll start with one of the big things people do is typically what triggers a departure is something happens. And as you just said, they respond almost in a rage. And one of the
Mhm.
things I tell, and I'm actually coaching right now someone that's contemplating making a career move. One of the first things I say is whatever you do, don't torch your credibility or your income. There should be a plan. So what
Yeah.
happens in a lot of cases, people never planned to move on. So that's the first mistake. The second thing is they need to call a timeout and really examine, why are they leaving? Did the environment become toxic? Did you get a piss poor leader, for lack of a better term? Or is the work just no longer a good fit for you? Really examine why you're feeling this strong need to depart. And if the answers are to that, you know what, you need to go, then you go. But the other big mistake is when they leave, a lot of time they like to gossip,
Yeah.
they just wait and see, they'll regret
Mm.
leaving me go. And I got to tell you, people, the world is much smaller than you think. I am running into people professionally that I haven't seen in over 4 decades. So as Dr. D pointed out right up front, you want to leave with some class, integrity, and think about, how do you want to be remembered? If you truly are going to depart, how do you want to be remembered?
That's so true, because that hurts your reputation. I know there was a woman that left hatefully. I was still working there. And I just thought, whoa, what a hateful, horrible, like not nice person. Like I'd be scared to work on her team. As you say, the world is small. Lo and behold, ended up working with her husband, not her, but later her husband. She's one of the nicest people I've ever met. She is so caring. She is so loving. She's so ambitious. She's so smart. She's perfect. She's the perfect teammate. But that one mistake left thousands of people thinking, oh my gosh, I would steer clear of her. And it's what Dr. D said, emotional. She was just outburst. She just, and gossiped about it. And you want to get it out. If you're leaving a toxic environment, you don't hold it in, because that's going to hurt where you go next. But get yourself a therapist, go get a drinking buddy, do somebody not at work to get it out of your system. And I think it's important to note, because this is something I struggled with. It's not my job to help other people on the way out. They have to make that decision for themselves. So it's not my job to say, this place sucks because X, Y, and Z. You have to decide that, because maybe it's not the same for them.
Yeah, just one thing you triggered in me, don't also be a silent sufferer. I know some people that truly need to leave. And it may be a number of reasons, but they're just not happy, but they don't leave because they have this fear that, this could be that's the last thing you want to do, because what's eventually going to happen if you stay in a situation that is just not good for you, it is going to blow up at some point. So also don't just stay as a silent sufferer. Plan your exit. That's the first thing I will say. We'll talk more about that.
Yeah.
Emotional suppression, right? Angie, can I have a follow-up question with you in particular, because of your sort of strong marketing background? Is there a rule that people should follow in terms of LinkedIn when they're leaving? What should people do?
I think it's very classy and very nice, because you've worked at that job for a while. Let's say you're going to have something nice to say, not asking you to lie, but I think it's nice that when you leave, say, I'm happy to announce I'm starting a new position. I'd like to thank X, Y, and Z company for the opportunity to I've always enjoyed working with, whatever. Say something positive about your past company when you're leaving. And if it's relevant, maybe share why you transitioned, because that just shows that the level of professionalism that you're elevating yourself to. And I think those are the other like tips actually that you need to tangibly think about when you're leaving is make sure you give enough notice. Make sure that you've put someone that's going to be able to do your work when you're gone, found some type of replacement, offered to train your replacement. All these types of things that will leave you in good standing with the company, so that you're in a better place with the next one. Because think about it, if you're that company and you know somebody left being nasty and hateful, I'm worried about hiring you. Because
Yeah.
what if you leave me that way? But if I see, oh, thank your old company, that's a nice person. Hopefully they'll do
Angie,
that for us.
and these are great tips really for signaling professionalism. They don't take much. It's literally 5-10 minutes of effort, but they signal something much bigger. They signal professionalism and courtesy. So these are really fantastic tips. They communicate to a large mass audience your professionalism. So these are great tips. Guys, thank you so much. Bruce, I'm going to hand over to you now because you're going to talk about joining a new team. So that you, without repeating the cycle, doing the same thing again. How do you? No, this is going to be interesting.
Yeah, well, get ready, buckle up for some questions. But I'll keep this brief. The first thing I say, so again, often you come across people that are like, you know what, I think I need to change. Well, the first thing I always tell people, don't be chasing money or titles. Just don't do that.
Right.
It should be, how can I have a greater impact? Maybe it's more autonomy or just growth. Those are good reasons to be moving on. And to do that, you need to understand then once you make you're making the choice for the right reasons to move on, really understand what your value proposition is. Stop and think, what do I bring to the party? And the other thing I would say before I jump into the questions is, I'm listening to Angie and, when I look at people on LinkedIn or their resumes or whatever, don't just list a bunch of responsibilities you have. Focus on the damn results.
Yes.
So know clearly what your value proposition is, what results have you driven, all that kind of stuff. And then for the right reasons, you can start entering potentially a new work environment. But what I'm going to ask, and I'm going to start with you, Dr. D, what are some questions you should be asking in an interview that is important to you joining this new team? Because a lot of times, you go and interview and they ask you a bunch of questions, but you need to be asking questions as well. What should those be, Dr. D?
So I don't know about should, but I'll tell you what I like to know in when I'm joining teams. What do you think my contribution should be in the short, medium, and long term? How do you think I fit into the culture? We've spoken. Presumably it's a second interview. We've spoken a couple of times. How do you think I will fit into the existing culture? What attributes do you think you'd like me to bring to the existing culture? What is missing in the existing culture that, if anything, that you'd like me to bring in? What are the things that you'd signal that I should do in the short term to ensure that we get a great smooth landing when I start? These are sort of things that would be super, super important to me. I'm getting in a load of questions. I'm talking quickly because I had so many things that I want to find. When I'm talking to people, I want to find out these things.
You're really good at questions. I can imagine he's really like perfect at that. And I think something else I like to ask, and probably my favorite because someone else told me to do this and it saved me from a bad job. I asked my interviewer, I said, what are your 3 favorite things about your job? And he couldn't give me 3.
That's a great
He
one.
struggled to give me
That's
3
a great
thing. I'm like, if
question.
you can't think of 3 things you like about your job, why the hell would I like mine? So like, I don't think this is a good idea.
Oh,
So
damn.
I like something like that. Another thing is because this is just me because I like people to know the type of person they're getting. I like to be very transparent. I said, okay, so if this works out and I take this position, what are going to be my challenges? what do you see as being the things that are going to be difficult for me? Because I want to make sure I have the right tools to overcome that. So those are things I like to look at, not to be negative, but, add that positive spin in there. Like, I just want to know, like, I want to be realistic. What's going to happen? Am I prepared to overcome it? Because we both want to win.
So one last question, and again, I'm going to go to Dr. D first, and then you, Angie. It's okay. So you land the gig,
Mhm.
you get the job. What do
Mhm.
you do next?
You land the
What
job.
do you do?
Well, that's a damn good question because we're both quiet.
Yeah. That's a damn good question.
What do you do starting day one? What do you do?
Oh, you're starting day one. You're not thinking. Yeah, I think day one for me. I think this is pretty easy. Actually, I don't think it's a hard question. I think day one for me is that you go out of your way to make a good impression, without being creepy, without being inauthentic, without talking about yourself too much. You go out of your way to make a good impression and understand what people are doing, do a lot of listening, do less talking than listening, do all of these things that put you in good stead. I'll say this as a negative, Bruce, before I hand over to Angie. Do not do too much talking, because we all think we impress people when we talk. The opposite is true. Do not talk too much. They've got an existing culture. They're already there. You coming in talking will feel like you're going to impose your culture on them. Do less talking, more listening.
Yeah, I would add on to that, like, because usually at some point people will ask you, like, but what do you think? Like, trying to bring you to the table right away. And in the spirit of not talking much, I think you need to prepare answers that say, you guys have a lot going on here. You have deep time dynamics. And honestly, I'm not qualified to give an opinion yet. I need a few days to listen, to settle in, to learn a little bit more. So let's come back to it after I've had a few days to get to know everybody, so that you're really putting out there, like, this is why I'm quiet. So even when they ask you, don't jump in, because it's almost a trap, right? It's too easy when they ask you what you think. You're going to bring all your knowledge from the past and this and that, and you're going to talk, and everyone's going to be like, damn it, I knew it. I knew she was going to do
Angie,
it.
that was so good. Professional jealousy. I'm going to write it down.
Yeah.
One other thing I want to bring up quick, Angie, before I turn it over to you. One of the things, I had said, when you decide you're going to move on, understand your value proposition, really, hopefully you're steering towards something that's a growth opportunity. Often in this show, a lot of people feel alone when these types of decisions have to be made. And one of the first things I want to say to people, and one of the things I learned to do this, thanks to some great mentors, is I stay in contact with a network of people. And you want to do that intentionally. And the other thing I do is that I will periodically say, I'm always looking for what's next. And it's a great question to say to them, you guys know me. So these are leaders that you respected, or colleagues, people that you trust, people that aren't going to blow smoke up you know what, I should say. You want to say to them, from your perspective, what do you think are some good next steps for me? And you'd be surprised the sincerity and thought that goes into responding to you. And it's changed how I got into this gig was a result of that. I tried to retire. I had a couple startups going in the nonprofit, but it just wasn't enough. And I remember somebody saying, God, Bruce, have you ever thought of this? Coaching, that sort of thing. And I thought, damn, that really.
Yeah, that's such a good point. Like,
right,
it's that, not just the staying in touch and asking people. You just made me think, Bruce, like, proactively, another thing you should do. I mean, I guess it's going to sound sneaky, but it's not. You should also check your coworkers out on LinkedIn before you start, because it'll give you a lot of, like, you'll find some common ground. You'll have things to talk about. You'll know their past jobs, their past experience. Even if they're not posting on LinkedIn, just their experience alone, you'll know a little bit more about them. And everybody appreciates that somebody took some time to get to know you. So on Bruce's point, stay in contact, stay connected, ask questions of your previous past colleagues and mentors, and proactively, don't be afraid to go out there and look at them and look up your boss, see what they've done. Look up your boss's boss. Look what people are saying about the company. All those things are where LinkedIn is also a tool.
God, with that, Angie, take us home.
I know. So we got some homework for you. We created these are almost like 10 bullet points of a checklist, but we have a very detailed checklist of leaving and starting a new company. So if you're interested, either contact one of us or Bruce and I are going to have a course coming up about it. Just let us know. But here we go. So first thing you want to do, ask yourself, am I leaving because I'm emotional, or is this a rational, well thought out decision? Because first thing you have to do is make sure you really should be leaving. The next thing you want to do is write down why you're leaving. And we do say write down because that helps you slow down, take the emotion out of it, and cement it into your brain so that when people are asking you, you have a non-inflammatory language script prepared of why you're leaving. Update your resume and LinkedIn. Save all your non-confidential work samples. Save your stuff. Unless it belongs to the company, save your stuff because a lot of people don't say, oh, great, you're leaving. Let you take all your stuff with you. Document your achievements and results. Be ready for those conversations with your next interviews, your next employers. Review the benefits, PTO, and exit policies. Know exactly what you're getting into so you can have those questions before they know you're leaving. Plan knowledge transfer and handoff notes. That's like get your replacement ready. Things not to do. Do not vent to coworkers. Do not name villains, at least to people at work. Name them to your drinking buddies at the bar. And last but not least, carefully choose your exit plan. So carefully choose the days, the times, what you're going to say, document it all and communicate it well to the people, everyone you need to, your team, other people, so that you're leaving on good terms with everybody because you never know when it's all going to come back around again. So with that, Nawtej, do you have any leaving thoughts?
I do have I have a leading thought. As ever, I've said this so many times before, but I've just learned in these 25 minutes, I've just learned so much from you two. Thank you so much. Seriously, the stuff we
He
said
says
about
that, and we learned too.
Oh my God, amazing.
Bruce, how about you? Got a closer?
Well, I've learned that Dr. D secretly wants to rap. So we're going to have to put that into an episode. But seriously, yeah, we threw a lot of information at you. By the way, hit the subscribe, the like button, all of those things. And again, thank you so much for joining us. And I hope you're getting value out of this. I know the three of us learn something every time we do this kind of gig together. So thank you.
Yes, thank you. Like, subscribe, and until next time, cheers.
Cheers.
Bye.